Fala galera, aqui é o Kaká e hoje, meus queridos, eu instalei o Fortnite, jogo que eu nunca ia imaginar que eu ia instalar. Daqui a pouco eu vou instalar o que? Minecraft, mas a gente veio aqui com um propósito. A Remedy fez aqui um flashback do primeiro Alan Wake dentro do Fortnite, então eu pensei da gente dar uma conferida aqui pra ver como é que tá. Principalmente porque, pelo visto, a gente vai dar uma recapitularizada, né, no primeiro jogo. Então acho que vai ser uma boa pra gente dar uma olhada aqui. Visto que eu vi que o Sun Lake tinha feito um recap, mas eu não gostei do recap que ele fez. Não deu pra entender muito bem. Acho que ele foi fazendo meio que no improviso assim, não ficou muito bom. Então, vem aqui comigo no Fortnite e vamos ver junto aqui esse flashback. Rapaziada, personagem que tá aí mesmo. E vambora. Não sei mexer nisso aqui, mano. Olha que bora. Tem que selecionar aqui? Não, tá preparando. Tá pareando? Eu jogo com outras pessoas? O recap? Achei que era solo. Mas tá beleza. Vamos lá. Pelo visto é em inglês, né? Não tem uma localização do negócio, mas vem junto comigo. A gente vai comentando. Demora um cadinho, né? Ele tá falando ali, né, que o Alan tá numa busca desesperada pela sua esposa perdida, a Alice. Vamos lá. Aqui. A lanterninha.
In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer, and 13 years ago, I found myself in a horror story of my own making.
Tem que jogar a luz ali no texto.
I used to live in New York City with my wife Alice. I wrote crime novels starring a fictional detective named Alex Casey. They made me famous. But then I killed off Casey.
Aqui. O best-seller dele. Vai pra cozinha.
What, now you can't even talk to me? I need to write something different. Something new, but nothing works. I can't take it.
Alan, you've been working on this for over 2 years. You need a break. I heard about this peaceful little town. It'll be the perfect place to clear your head.
Tá tentando fazer uma história nova, mas nada consegue, né? Tá com aquele bloqueio criativo.
So Alice convinced me to visit Bright Falls, a small, quiet town in Washington. Just what I needed. First, we stopped at the local diner to get our cabin key from the landlord. As soon as I stepped in the door, the waitress Rose recognized me. Said she was my biggest fan, had all my books.
O garçonete era fã
After she
dele.
made me promise her an autograph, I asked about the landlord. Rose said he must have gone to the restroom.
O cenário do jogo eu também. Eu tô me lembrando mais ou menos aqui. É bem. Pegaram bem. Tiraram bem do jogo e botaram aqui, né?
I checked the back of the diner. It was dark, foreboding. The kind of place that made your skin itch. That's when Barbara Jagger appeared. An older woman in a vintage funeral gown, like something out of a 1960s horror novel. She said the landlord hadn't been able to make it and handed me the cabin key. She insisted she'd come by later to check on us and to meet Alice.
Eles vão pra...
Alice and I drove through the
Cabana.
majestic landscape to our cabin. The little wooden house stood alone on a tiny island near the shore of Cauldron Lake, in the bowl of an impressive caldera.
Não era pra gente cair na água, né? Tá bom. Mas como que eu vou chegar ali, então? Até que tem outro caminho? Pô. Eu acho que era pra ter uma ponte aqui, não? Bridge? Ponte? Ué, clã. Ué, clã. Pô. Eu acho que bugou, meus amigos. Era pra aparecer uma ponte ali, pô. Bridge, é uma ponte, pô. Era pra ter uma ponte daqui até a outra ilha, pô. Não tem. Aí onde fica acabando, não tem mais como acessar aquele lugar. Se a gente sai ali um pouquinho, ele já tira a gente. Será que é algum comando de Fortnite que voa, dá um jetpack? A gente não tem jetpack. Eu não acho que eles iam fazer isso nesse tipo de coisa. Cara, bugou, mano. Bugou, velho. Ah, não, cara. Eu não acredito, clã. Ai, ai. Ó, eu vou pausar aqui a gravação. Vou fazer de novo, cara. Vou entrar aqui de novo no negócio pra ver o que que dá. Clã, eu descobri aqui. Não era culpa do jogo, não. Me perdoa, Fortnite. É porque... Lembra no início? Que você tinha que apontar aqui? Eu tenho que apontar aqui pro negócio aparecer, pô. Apontar com a luz. E eu voltei, viu? Eu voltei. Só que eu sem querer mirei ali com a... Ah, tá. É assim que faz a ponte aparecer. Tá bom.
It's gorgeous, Alan.
It's something, all right.
Are you sure you read the directions right? It's nothing like in the brochure. It said near the lake, not on it.
Pô, eu acharia maneiro, né?
Place.
É.
I told myself I could rest here, sleep here, forget about my work. I thought we could be happy here.
Então você estava enganado, né, Alan?
Alan, I'm upstairs. I have a surprise for you. Surprise!
Alice, what is this?
I guess I have a small confession to make. I thought maybe you could write here that a change of
Damn it,
scenery would
Alice,
get
you-
past.
Everyone keeps...
Hey, just hear me out. There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his. He has a private clinic here. He
But so
specializes
now
in
you wanna
helping
get me
artists.
committed.
No, it's not like that. That's not... Alan? Alan?
Don't! Just don't! I don't want to hear it!
Trouxe o cara ali pra, né? Pra curtir e tal. Na hora que, pô, você me trouxe aqui pra trabalhar, pô. Ficou P.
Oh no! When I came to, I was behind the wheel of a crash car on a forest road. I felt like I had woken up from one nightmare only to find myself in another. I remember diving in after Alice. So how was I here?
Eita. Tá.
The loose sheets of paper were pages from a manuscript entitled Departure. That was the name I'd planned to use for the next novel I'd never gotten started. I was named the author. I hadn't written it. I couldn't remember writing it.
Não se lembra de ter escrito.
Departure by Alan Wake. The Taken stood before me. It was impossible to focus on it, as if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor or an eye disease. I was terrified. I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. Suddenly something gave, and the light seemed to shine brighter. I found a page of writing, but it made no sense. A fragment of some demented horror story.
Beleza. Mas a gente vai ter que fazer uns fightzinhos.
I realized that the shadowy figure was the character from the page I just found. The Taken. A man taken over by a creature of supernatural darkness called the Dark Presence.
Carro.
All right. I'll keep writing. Outside there's only darkness. Outside the cabin, outside the story, there's only darkness. I can feel her presence in the dark. Just now, I could smell her perfume in the room. I'll reach her, I'll fix it up. I'll bring her back. The story will come true. If I stop, she's lost. I would come to realize the lake does something to works of art created here. It lifts the story from the page and gives it form. Turns fiction into terrible truth. The manuscript was becoming real. I tried to hold on to Alice, but her form melted away. I was losing control. Dr. Hartman stood in her place. I wanted to hit him, but my arms were jelly. He smiled. It was a reassuring smile, and I hated him for it. You're a patient in my clinic. Have been for a while now.
There you go, Alan.
Hartman? I fell. What? No, you. I found myself stuck in Cauldron Lake Lodge, Dr. Hartman's clinic. He tried to convince me I was a patient of his, that I had imagined everything. I knew he was lying. Soon enough, his true colors would be revealed.
It's okay, Alan. just let go.
Já tem esses flashes da
The
Alice
pages
ali,
I'd
né?
been carrying with me were gone. I needed them back. They were the key to finding Alice, to understanding this mystery.
Aqui pro escritório. É ali embaixo, né? Vamos lá. O cacete. O Alan é grande, né, mano? Olha o tamanho dele, ó.
I broke into Hartman's office to learn the truth. The manuscript pages were on his desk, the ones I had found and more. I confronted him, furious. He admitted he had been lying and tried to cut a deal with me. He was still trying to manipulate me, to use my writing for his own ends and to make the Dark Presence stronger in doing so.
Pá.
I dreamt of the night Alice went missing. Her screams rang in the stillness of the night. I saw myself run toward the cabin, flashlight in my hand. I followed my past self. I was an out-of-body observer, a time traveler in a crazy dream. This was the beginning. The night Alice had disappeared. The mystery of what had happened during the missing week was about to reveal itself.
Só passar? Só passar.
Alice! Alice!
In a dream, I found myself back at the cabin, just like the manuscript described. It felt like I was reliving a suppressed memory, a waking nightmare. This was my chance to find out what had happened to Alice. I remembered it all now. In the dark, I'd written for days, a week, almost a complete manuscript of a novel entitled Departure. Jagger had been my editor, whispering in my ear, making sure that the unfolding story would make her more and more powerful. I thought I was saving Alice. Yes. All right. I'll fix it. I'll bring her back. Under the influence of the Dark Presence, I'd written a horror story, and now my own words were tearing my world apart. It was using my story to grow stronger, to spread its darkness. But somehow some part of me had been aware enough to write my own escape into the story, a way back to Cauldron Lake, to Alice.
É uma forma de sair de uma enrascada, né? Gente, vocês estão entendendo aqui a história? Eu não tô traduzindo, né? Porque tem muita fala, né? Se eu for traduzir, eu vou ficar no meio da fala. Mas espero que vocês estejam entendendo, cara. Eu achei estranho não vir localizado. E dali, vamos lá. Acho que nem precisava dessa parte aqui não, hein? Porque é só um andar. Tem um manuscrito ali.
The story I had written in the cabin had come true. Touched by the Dark Presence, I had written a horror story, but the end was still missing. The story was incomplete, and the last unfinished page of the manuscript still sat in the typewriter in the cabin study. If I could get back there, if I could read the page, then I could write my own ending to this story and save Alice. Jagger was waiting for me, but I wasn't afraid. I had light on my side. I was ready. I fought Jagger with the light, shattered the darkness inside her. She was gone. But this was a horror story, and the ending had not yet been written.
Ele enfiou a lanterna nela, mano.
There'd be a price to pay. There's light and there's darkness, cause and effect. There's guilt and there's atonement. But the scales always need to balance. Everything has a price. Alice was safe, but the balance had to be kept. I'd taken her place, a small price to pay. Now I was trapped here, in the dark place, outside reality. If I wanted to escape, I would have to start writing again. A new story. A sequel to Departure.
Vai sair aí com um monte de livro já.
My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer. Return by Alan Wake. The dark presence is out there. It's hunting me. Its spies are always watching. It's trying to catch me. I think it did more than once. It's stealing from me. Stealing my identity. It wants to be me. Replace me. Twisted version of me. Scratch. Mr. Scratch. It's
Mr.
slithering
Scratch.
into the story. Once it's in the story, I have to use it to keep the story true. It got in. I have to make the story darker now. But that gives it power. That's bad. I don't want that. But I have no choice. It's an arms race. All right, now keep it together. Damn it. I'll be the first one to cross the finish line.
Acabou? Pô, não foi um flashback completo, né? Porque eu me lembro que tinha 2 episódios extras, né? Acho que tinha uma sequência também que não foi falado aqui. Não foi falado aqui nesse Alan Wake flashback. Cara, legal. Legal, assim, poderia ter sido um vídeo. Poderia, né? Poderia ter sido um vídeo, inclusive, aí, ter pegado esse dinheiro aí e apostado em traduzir mais, né? Porque o meu jogo aqui, o Fortnite tá em PTBR. É porque esse episódio ali não tá legendado, né? Então, tipo assim, bacana. Poderia ter sido um vídeo. As partes interativas não fizeram tanta diferença. E mesmo assim ainda tá faltando um pedacinho final. Mas deixa aí abaixo, galera, o que vocês acharam aí? Se ajudou um pouco, né, você relembrar um pouco a história. Eu lembrava por alto, assim, cara, eu joguei o Alan Wake, era na época do 360, né? Mas eu vi o Sam Lake fazendo aquele vídeo lá, mas como eu falei, eu não gostei do vídeo do Sam Lake, eu acho que ele falou muito improvisadamente. Então isso aqui me ajudou a lembrar um pouquinho, sim, né? Principalmente na questão visual, mas acho que faltou um pouquinho de coisa aqui pra gente poder engatar aqui no Alan Wake 2. Dá pra você jogar o Alan Wake 2 sabendo só isso, mas eu acho que tem como a gente ter um resumão melhor. Deixa abaixo nos comentários o que você achou. Vou ficando por aqui. Um forte abraço pra você. Deixa aquele crítico no like. Até mais, galera. Fui!